don't drink the Kool-Aid. A closer look at climate change claims. Now, I'm not here to say climate change isn't real. That would be like saying this show isn't being filmed in a dimly lit basement. Both are demonstrably true. But what I do want to talk about is the often hysterical way we talk about it. The doom-mongering that seems more interested in clicks than careful analysis. Because frankly, the world is a nuanced place, and reducing complex issues like climate change to "we're all going to die" headlines does a disservice to everyone. Over the next few minutes, we're going to take a closer look at some of the most eyebrow-raising climate change claims, the ones that had people building arks in their backyards and stockpiling canned goods like they were prepping for the apocalypse. And what we're going to find might surprise you. Because while climate change is a real and present danger, it's not the planet-killing monster it's often made out to be. And understanding that difference is crucial if we want to have a sensible, productive conversation about how to address it. We need to focus on practical solutions, like investing in renewable energy sources and improving energy efficiency. Community initiatives such as urban farming and reforestation projects can also play a significant role in mitigating climate change. Education and awareness are key. By informing ourselves and others, we can make better decisions and take meaningful action. It's about coming together, understanding the science, and working collectively towards a sustainable future for all. The vanishing Arctic, that isn't. Remember back in 2007 when former Vice President Al Gore, with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer, declared the Arctic would be ice-free by 2013? Yeah, about that. Turns out predicting the demise of a giant, floating ice cap is a bit more complicated than winning a PowerPoint presentation contest. While it's true that the Arctic has lost a significant amount of ice in recent decades, it's far from disappearing. In fact, satellite data shows that Arctic ice extent has remained relatively stable since that infamous 2013 prediction. Now, that doesn't mean climate change isn't impacting the Arctic. It is. But it does highlight the danger of making sweeping pronouncements based on incomplete data, or dare I say it, political expediency. Because when those predictions inevitably fall flat, it undermines the credibility of the entire climate change conversation. The great snowpocalypse that wasn't. Remember when climate scientists were predicting the end of snow? They warned us that snow would become a rare sight, something our grandchildren might never experience. You know, those halcyon days when children of the future would gather around flickering holograms, desperately trying to imagine the magical substance we used to call snow? It seemed like snow was destined to become a relic of the past. Yeah, about that. Turns out Mother Nature has a wicked sense of humor. She decided to flip the script on us. Because far from disappearing, snow has been making quite the comeback in recent years. It's almost as if snow wanted to remind us of its presence. We've seen record snowfalls, brutal blizzards, and enough white stuff to make even the most ardent snow globe enthusiasts say, "Okay, I've had enough now." The sheer volume of snow has been astonishing. Remember the beast from the East Storm that buried parts of Europe in snowdrifts back in 2018? It was a stark reminder of nature's unpredictability. Yeah, not exactly the kind of weather you'd expect in a world where snow is a distant memory. So, what happened? Why are we seeing more snow instead of less? Well, It turns out that climate change can actually lead to more extreme weather events, including, ironically, heavier snowfalls in some regions. The complexities of climate change continue to surprise us. Chapter 3: Sea Level Rise, a Drop in the Ocean of Hyperbole. Now, this wouldn't be a proper climate change discussion without mentioning rising sea levels. It's a topic that has sparked countless debates and fueled many fears. We've all seen the apocalyptic images: cities submerged, landmarks swallowed by the waves, Kevin Costner desperately searching for a decent script in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. These dramatic visuals capture our imagination and stoke our anxieties. But while sea levels are indeed rising, the rate is far slower than many feared. The reality is more nuanced and less sensational. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, estimates that the global mean sea level is rising at a rate of about 3.3 millimeters per year. Now, that's not nothing, but it's also not the end of the world. Over time, even small increases can have significant impacts. Coastal erosion, increased flooding, and habitat loss are real concerns, but it's a far cry from the catastrophic city-swallowing surges that some predictions warned of. Take Miami, for example. This vibrant city is often highlighted in discussions about sea level rise. It's often cited as a city on the front lines of sea level rise. The images of water pumps and sandbags are common sights. And while Miami does face real challenges, it hasn't been swallowed by the ocean, as some dire forecasts suggested it might by now. Tourists still flock to its beaches, and life goes on. In fact, the city has invested heavily in flood prevention measures, adapting to the changing environment rather than succumbing to panic. Engineers and city planners are working tirelessly to protect Miami's future. Chapter 4: The Overpopulation Myth. More food, less fear. For decades, we've been bombarded with warnings about overpopulation, the ticking time bomb that would inevitably lead to mass starvation and societal collapse. Too many mouths to feed, not enough resources to go around. It's a scary thought, but is it accurate? Well, not really. Despite a rapidly growing population, we actually produce more food today than ever before. Thanks to technological advancements, smarter agricultural practices, and yes, even the much maligned GMOs, we've managed to keep pace with the demands of a growing planet. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't people going hungry. There are, and it's a tragedy. But the problem isn't a lack of food. It's a lack of access, often driven by political instability, conflict, and poverty. So before we start panicking about running out of food, let's focus on fixing the systems that prevent people from getting the nourishment they need. Outro: a call for reason in a sea of climate hysteria. Look, climate change is a real and pressing issue, but it's not a binary choice between blind panic and burying our heads in the sand. We need to be skeptical, informed, and cautious, demanding evidence-based arguments instead of sensationalized headlines. Because the planet deserves thoughtful, reasoned action, not knee-jerk responses based on fear. So, the next time you hear a particularly outlandish claim about the impending climate apocalypse, remember? Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Do your research, think critically, and let's approach this challenge with the nuance and intelligence it deserves. And if all else fails, just remember, at least we'll always have snow, probably.